Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Business Growth Show, where we talk about all components of business and how to utilize them for exponential growth. My name is Athin Cassiotis. I'm a serial entrepreneur, international speaker, results strategist, business coach, mentor, and consultant. Today, I have an awesome guest. He is a leadership expert, coach, and mentor, influence builder, high-performance team builder, remote teams expert, global leadership speaker, author, and founder of Leadership Dynamics. Welcome, Peter Cox, or Coxey as you're more well known, and thank you for being on my show.
Thanks, Athin. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Awesome, mate. It's so awesome to have you here. I'm sure we're going to provide huge amounts of value for everyone watching and listening today. So, you're a very successful entrepreneur. So for those people who don't know who you are, please introduce yourself by telling us about you and your journey.
Yeah, well, I started my first business with $11 in the bank in October 1988 with my wife, Debbie. We're living in South Cronulla on Cronulla Point. 3 weeks before we got married, and my wife, Debbie, said to me, "What's the plan?" And I didn't have a plan. And that's when we started to investigate businesses that didn't take a lot of money for us to get started because we were broke. My wife, Debbie, had her wedding present was a 200,000 mile Daihatsu. You change the spark plugs every 2 hours. We had a 90-year-old washing machine. We had no fridge. And that's how we started our own business. And my background was marketing. And at that particular time, I was working in Formula One motor racing in the tobacco industry with RJ Reynolds Tobacco. And Debbie was in sales and telecommunications, selling car telephones and pages. And so we were looking for a business that we could put our sales and marketing expertise together. And we knew that we had leadership potential. And we just were looking for an opportunity to see whether we could actually start our own business, a startup. And 32 years later, that business is still going. It's in 29 countries in 12 different languages. But this business, Leadership Dynamics, I started in 2003, semi-retired on the northern beaches of Sydney, when my oldest son, Dane, at that stage, 2003, who would have been 9 years of age, came home from school one day and asked me, "Dad, what do you do?" And, I grew up in the western suburbs of Sydney. I'm the first person to go into business for myself. I grew up in Campbelltown. My parents moved from London in 1965. When I was 2 years of age, I built the fourth home in Bradbury, which there's over 1 million homes in that area now. I never came from money, wealth. Everyone's always worked for themselves. And so when Dane asked me that question, I tried to create this different pathway in my life. And then that was the impression he had, was me lying around the pool, playing golf, going to the movies, having choice. And I realized that, I needed to do something in addition to my original business, which was giving me an amazing lifestyle. That's how Leadership Dynamics was born in 2003. And here I am now, 18 years later, talking to you on your Business Growth Show, because my Leadership Dynamics business has really got traction and is changing a lot of lives at present.
Yeah, awesome, Coxey. It's an amazing story, and I always love to hear, how a lot of people come from not much, and it's sort of the world's against them, so to speak, and that Aussie battler type thing of we're going to make it happen, we're going to find a way, and everything like that. So it's really awesome to see, and awesome that you've actually the first business to get to 29 countries and all those languages. That's that's a massive thing, right? Especially back then, before the world was as connected as we are today. So I guess maybe let's touch a little bit on that. So I guess, how did you sort of work with growing a business to that level?
Yeah, that's a good question. In those days, we didn't have Skype, we didn't have Zoom when we were starting to expand our business in the early 90s. We had a fax machine. Computers were starting to gear up. Mobile telephones were as big as a brick, right? So, the world has definitely changed. But, what I teach my clients in Leadership Dynamics that want to expand their businesses out of where they live into remote areas or internationally is everything's about rhythm. if you don't have a rhythm, then you can't grow in the two key platforms of a successful organisation, which are accountability and respect. So what I used to do is I used to find people in Australia that spoke a particular language and train them up for 6 months. And then they made the decision when they wanted to go back to their home country, you know, Greece, South Africa, India, pick a country. And then every 3 months I would be in that country. And I did that for 7 years, that rhythm. And I was traveling 9 months of the year. I've traveled around the world 57 times, been to Southeast Asia 45 times. I've been in India 25 times. But, you know, and that took a huge sacrifice, huge investment. But I made that decision to do that when my kids were born, when they needed their mother more than they needed their father. But it was around 2003 that, you know, I'd had a couple of years less travel and at home, that was when that question came from Dane. And I realized, geez, I need to do something else with my life. Because then I went from traveling every 3 months on this rhythm 4 times a year to every 6 months. And then it became once a year. Once you establish leaders in businesses that you run remotely or internationally, you've got trust and long-term loyal relationships. It frees you up to do other things. And, I learned from my mentor's mentor, John Maxwell, those closest to the leader will determine that leader's success. So who you surround yourself with, that's going to determine how successful you become. So, recruitment and retention and right people in right roles is vital if you want to succeed in business, not just where you live, but even more important when you expand remotely or internationally.
Yeah, really awesome points there. I love that. And amazing, with the changes and how you actually built people up like that and then put them into the places there like that, obviously on their own accord, but that's really, cutting edge. I really love that. And shows, how strong that leadership is. And obviously it would have flowed quite naturally into the leadership style of things, with leadership dynamics that you're doing now and helping Correct. A lot of people. And you've had, a lot of success leading, high-end people like professional athletes, elite sporting coaches, here and that. So, and these guys, they need to perform, right? Like there's a lot of pressure, right, on them. So maybe tell us a little bit more about how you help them.
Yeah, I mean, it's sliding doors, seizing moments. I was flying home from a leadership event in Singapore. Would have been probably August, September 2004. And I was just lucky enough to sit next to Wayne Pearce, ex-Balmain rugby league captain, New South Wales captain, ex-New South Wales coach. And I struck up a conversation with Wayne. And we didn't stop talking for 6 hours flying back from Singapore about, I really believe I had a process called leadership dynamics that could grow elite NRL players and assist elite NRL coaches to build people, build culture, to grow leadership on and off the sporting field, to help them become better human beings. Because my mission statement, leadership dynamics, is building stronger leaders to live better lives. And I shared this vision with Wayne. And, through good fortune, he introduced me to Des Hasler, February 2005, Manly Seagulls coach at the time. And, Des had done 10 games in his professional career at that stage at Manly, and now he's at 400. And that's been a long-term relationship with him over the last, 15 plus years. I've been involved in 300 plus NRL games. I did 7 years at Manly between 05 and 011. And it's very important I get this point across. I'm just one piece of the jigsaw in any organisation, whether it's an SME, whether it's a blue chip corporation or whether it's an elite sporting organisation. I have particular skills that people bolt into that team or into that business. It's not just, and I just quietly do my thing in the background. I don't want to be known as the coach whisperer. I don't want to be known as the motivational coach. My role when I go into professional sporting teams or businesses is to grow people and grow culture, to grow leadership. Good leadership, good culture, bad leadership, bad culture. And leadership is about behaviours, growing better behaviours. And I do that one-on-one and working with teams. And I've done it at Manly. I did it at South Sydney with Michael Maguire. I'm currently doing it with the West Tigers right now, helping Michael Maguire change the direction of that organisation. And the Australian women's football team, the Matildas, 015 and 016 with their Olympic game and World Cup campaigns. So I think it's very important that it's not about me. And I think, authentic leaders, it's about serving others. And the highest calling of leadership is what we call servanthood leadership. It's not what can you do for me, it's what can I do for you, and quietly do it in the background. And I'm very strong on that type of principle, that I drive that sort of thinking and behavior to all of my clients.
Yeah, I really love that. So many amazing points there. And like you said, we're all part of an ecosystem, right? That's what a business is. And, we all need people to lead us, right? Like coaches and mentors and other people like that to help us along our way. And it's amazing that, yeah, you can have that impact, but, do it, I guess, quietly in the background. But we all play our part in making that difference. And, you mentioned that obviously, I know you obviously work with like high-level CEOs, with like blue chip corporations and things like that, but you also work with, the smaller business owner, right? Like that. So I guess, what's the difference that you see in leading them? Because obviously there are a lot of different levels and how many staff they have and things like that. So what are the differences you see in those?
Well, firstly, you said something very profound, that we all need someone to lead us. Okay. And I think it's very important that whoever's watching this discussion interview right now, leadership dynamics was born out of me being led. So in April 1992, I came off a leadership event stage, 7,000 people in the audience. And in 1992, I was 29 years of age and I was making more money than I've ever made in my life. 5 times my full-time income in my own business. And I wouldn't say my ego was getting big, but there was a guy in that audience from the US that was sitting there that reached out to me. And he said something profound to me. He said, "You think you're successful, Coxey?" I said, "Well, I'm making more money than I've ever made before. I can do what I want." He said, "It takes 20 years to build anything great." And it just 20 years, I've been in business for 3 years, 3.5 years. And so I ran after Jim down that hallway. And I said, "What do you mean it takes 20 years? He says, "You'll know when you get to 20 years, whether you're still in business and the relationships you've built and the lives you've changed." And he gave me this big story for about half an hour. Well, as a result of that, I asked him to lead me. I said, "I've got no one lead me. I need wisdom. I've never owned a business before." And that's how that relationship started. And I was doing great things in that direct sales industry, which he was from. And he'd built like $1 billion organization. So I had a lot of respect for this man. And he took me under his wing for 22 years, Athin, 22 years. And he died of esophageal cancer in August 2013, which was a massive loss in my life. So leadership dynamics was born out of the fact that I saw the power of being led. And today I'm led by his global CEO. What gives me the right to lead you is that I'm led by somebody else. So then to answer your next question, when people reach out to me for leadership, elite coaches, SMEs, CEOs, managing directors, the first question I ask them is, who's leading you? And I get 9 times out of 10, I get the same answer. It doesn't matter what level they're from. They say, "Well, I'm leading myself." And then I say, "Well, how's that going for you?" And then they say, "Well, that's why you've been referred to me. That's why I've been reading your LinkedIn articles. That's why I'm on your online program. That's why I read your book. That's why someone said you've got to meet Coxey." So they start realizing, far out, I don't know all the answers. I need to grow myself to be a better leader for my business and my team. So to answer your question, that's through all different levels of business. I get 9 times out of 10 the same answer and that same light bulb moment about I need to be led. And with Michael Maguire, South Sydney Rabbitohs, my phone rang November 2013. I was doing a leadership conference in Singapore and I was with my wife, Debbie. I had 7 years with Manly with Des Hasler, 05 to 11, and I had 2 years out. He went to the Bulldogs, and I quietly did things for him behind the scenes that no one knew about, just between me and him, but I wasn't working with that team. And Debbie never wanted me to go back into professional sport because it's a huge commitment. You can't put your toe in. It's one in, all in, and you're on a big journey. and it's a high performance cutthroat industry. So when I took the phone call from Mark Ellison, the football manager from South Sydney, I put the phone on mute and said, Debbie, it's South Sydney, Mark Ellison. And Debbie was going, no, I know where this is going. No more footy. No. And I said, trust me, Deb, I'm just going to have a conversation. And then I took the phone and he said, Michael Maguire would like to call you, head coach of the Rabbitohs. Would you take the call? I said, yep. I hung up. 2 minutes later, the phone rang and it was Michael Maguire. And that was November 2013. We had our first conversation. Here I am now, 2021. He's at the West Tigers, coach of the New Zealand Rugby League team. And 12 months later, he won his first NRL premiership. And I remember Debbie taking that photo in that empty stadium at midnight before we got on the bus to go back to South Juniors with tens of thousands of people lined up on the street. And she had tears in her eyes, remembering telling me, don't do it. But it wasn't about me. It was about me serving another man's dream, another man's vision. Like I served it's not about me. And I stay in the background, but I do my thing one-on-one and with teams. Okay. And the only reason I took up that opportunity with South Sydney is I said to him after 10 minutes of fumbling around, I said, Michael, why are you calling me? What do you want? And he said, I want you to lead me and grow my accountability as head coach of the South Sydney Rugby League football organisation. And when he said that to me, Athin, I said, I'll see you in 2 days in the boardroom. And that deal was done, and we're still on that journey now. So that was very relevant what you said, and I hope that answers the question for your viewers right now about how it fits in with everything else. Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, so amazing there, Coxey, and I love where you took that and the amazing story about everyone needs to be led, definitely, and it's what amazing results, from there getting to him and then getting him to win his first premiership there, soon after. It is amazing and early on in his journey. So I'm sure you were a big part. And as you said, it's not all about you, but everyone plays their part in everything like that. So that's really awesome. And I think, you sort of touched on it, but I think I'd like to go a little bit deeper about like being a leader and what are really the benefits, let's call it, of being a better leader?
You live a better life because you make better decisions. You've got more clarity. You're a better planner. You've got better behaviors. You have less division, less disharmony coming into your life, because if you're going to be an effective leader, you get good with people. And the number one characteristic of a leader is influence. Influence means follow me. So if you want to be a leader, when you look behind who is following you, and I learned that from my mentor, John Maxwell, I teach my clients to seek influence over results. Everybody wants the result. I want to be a millionaire. I want business to do $100 million. I want to be an NRL premiership winner. That's the result. It's what are the behaviors that you need to grow in so you achieve the results you want to achieve. And one of those behaviors you need to grow is how do you grow your influence? And if I have influence when I lead people, they want to follow me. There's a big difference to wanting to follow a leader and having to follow a leader. And that's a huge, huge topic. I just did a 2-hour Zoom with a client yesterday, a CEO of a large organization in Sydney. And we spent 2 hours on what do you need for influence and how do you grow your influence? Because he's got a large team that he leads. Okay. And that's what you've got to seek if you want to be an effective leader. Are people wanting to follow me or if they're having to follow me? And there's a big difference. They want to follow you. They're following you with your heart, which means you're doing something great in their life. You're changing their life. You're growing loyalty. You're really a good leader if you can impact the hearts of the people that you lead, that they want to follow you.
Yeah, so amazing points there. I love that, and I completely agree about influence. Right, it's definitely needed in business in general. Right, in whatever capacity, what level you are, whether you're the owner or somebody further down within a business that's still a leader. And I think the biggest thing that I see is that some people are more natural born influencers, let's call them, right, or leaders and things like that, and some people are not. But everything can be learned, right? Just because you're not the biggest influencer, as you are there's always a way to build you up, right? To get you to that point.
Correct. My mentor, Jim, taught me there were 4 types of leaders. There are non-leaders, there are learned leaders, there are natural leaders, and there are born leaders. 50% of people, 30% of people would be learned leaders, that they can learn leadership to a certain level, but it's not as natural as maybe somebody else that steps into that role, okay? 30 to 50% of people in an organization, you can educate them, you can grow them in leadership so that they can become more effective in their role.
Yeah, so awesome points. And so, I think we should all strive, right, to be that person, right, to look at how we can improve ourselves and grow and everything like that, right? And what I see, and I'd love to get your take on this, Coxey, is, as a leader in business, we need to know like where our staff are at, where our team are at, right? And I know, I hear things about different levels or gears or things like that, right? Because we want our team and our staff to perform at their peak, right? So that everyone, the business is a well-oiled machine, so to speak. So can you please explain a little bit more about this and the impact we can have on our business?
That's a big topic, and I'll try and do this in 5 minutes. But when I spend time with my leadership dynamics clients, when I start a new engagement with a client, the first thing that I do is I do personality profiling. I want to understand their personality, and I want them to understand my personality. Then I profile all their key leaders they surround themselves with. I want to understand their personality strengths and weaknesses, and I want them to understand the personality strengths and weaknesses of the owner or the leader of that team. I want them to understand my strengths and weaknesses, who's leading them and growing them with my leadership dynamics process. Right people in the right roles. And there are 4, and I use Personality Plus Florence Littau. It's a simple profiling program from a book that sold over 1 million copies. It saved my marriage in April 1992 when my wife was going to leave me. We didn't understand each other. I'm a choleric sanguine. She's a choleric melancholy. That means I'm a red orange. She's a red blue. The red clashes. Both want to be leaders. The blue is analytical. The sanguine is playful and doesn't have much analysing at all. And so those 2 are missing. The other 2 are hitting each other. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. Right? But if you want to have unity and you want to have harmony, you've got to make your people understand each other better. But first, you've got to understand yourself better to empower you. And there's 20 strengths and 20 weaknesses in that profiling test. And I empower people to grow 6 of them. There's 6 in my own personality that I've grown in the last 28 years. I've been growing 6 traits in particular. I'd heard a lot about all my weaknesses from school teachers and principals and previous employees, but no one ever told me what my strengths were. And that's a vital component to build culture. The second thing that I do is I use an emotional guidance scale from 2 gentlemen that created this. There's 22 different emotions called Abraham and Hicks. And whenever I spend one-on-one time with people, the first thing that I do is I'm going to run that emotional guidance scale by you, and I want to know where you are emotionally. And it ranges from joy, happiness and appreciation to anxiety and depression and, real low level stuff. And there's 22 different emotions. Some of my clients have that printed on a chart in their office, and every day people go in there and they put their name where they are. So when I'm leading them, I know where they are emotionally, because it's called life. You can be at the top of the scale emotionally today, and then something happens in your life and you can slide down emotionally. So for example, if I was in your team and you're leading me, at the top there, number 2 is passion. A lot of people say I'm at passion. You're at passion, Coxey, when I ask them that. Okay, yeah, you'd feel my passion. But you're leading me, Athin. I'm in your team. What you need to understand right now in my own life emotion, I'm at worry. That's where I'm at. My mum is 84, being admitted to full-time care on Tuesday. My dad's 86, crying in Cronulla. I'm renovating a house right now. My mum's got stage 3 Alzheimer's. My youngest son, Jared, broke his neck playing footy 6 years ago. We've been to hell and back in the last 6 years, so we're dealing with that. You know, I've got my oldest son living in Sydney, in the northern beaches of Sydney, that struggled living in the northern beaches, not being able to come up here for Christmas because of COVID. So we've had to deal with all that. We've had some worrying issues with that. Okay. It's called life. My father-in-law passed away in New Zealand in May. We couldn't go to the funeral. We watched it on TV. My wife's dealing with the grief of the loss of her father. He was a beautiful man. He died at 86, but he died very quickly in 6 weeks on Zoom in front of us. Okay. Now, this is not for you to feel sorry for me. This is the cross I've got to carry, but that's where I'm in my life. I've got a lot of things to worry about right now. I don't worry. Yeah, I'm a good leader. I'll lead you. I'm passionate. But that's where I am emotionally. It's a very powerful message I'm teaching everyone. Where are the people truly emotionally around you in your life right now? Because if you lead me the wrong way, after worry comes anger. After anger comes revenge. After, you understand, you start driving me the wrong way, overloading me. Okay. Now, in elite sport, we've got 5 to 7 days to get the team ready for their next game in rugby league. They play 20, 26 games. Right? So short turnaround. So we need to know where they are emotionally. They're married, they've got kids, they've got parents, they've got media writing bad stuff about them. We've got to know where they are so we can move them up with the way we lead them. And that could be giving them a day off. It could be sending their wife for a massage. It could be for us to spend 2 hours with them over lunch and build and rebuild them. That's a very powerful process of building your culture, is right people in the right roles, knowing the different personalities and how they combine, and then what's the emotion of those people in the team or business that you lead.
Yeah. Wow. That was just an amazing section there, Coxey. And I definitely recommend everybody to listen back on that, because there was so much gold. And, one of the biggest thing I love, you talked about the personality profiling. And not only, for everyone listening, is this good for obviously, understand that about your team and leading them, but you can also use it in your recruitment processing, right? When you're looking at new people, and get them to do that test so that when you get them in, you can lead this person from day one and really, get it out, of the sheds and really drive that forward as well. So that's a really important thing, just as a distinction that I've just, realized there as well.
It will strengthen recruitment, and it will strengthen retention, and it will get right people in the right roles. You determine what is the role that I need for the business. What's this person going to do? And then what personality do I need in that role? And it's a game changer. But it takes real discipline, and it's slower to hire because there's a process to getting that right person. So I've just put on a digital marketing manager with my Indian business partner in India, and she is a choleric melancholy. She's a red blue for a reason in this role that I've got. Complete opposite to the marketing manager that I have in Sydney, who is she's a blue purple. Complete opposite to my personality. There's a lot of real value to help you grow your business if you understand what I'm trying to share with you. It's a tool that I've used since April 1992 in 29 different countries, in 12 different languages, in my own businesses, in my own life. And even with our home help, everything we do, we profile people first.
Yeah, I love that. So many awesome points, and really get them into the right roles. And like you said, get them to stay, right. And that's the biggest thing. And I think there's a bit of a misconception here, right? And I think I'd love to hear it from you, Coxey, about, someone's a manager in a business and they may think that they're a leader, but there is actually a difference between a leader and a manager. So what do you say as a difference?
There is a huge difference. Leaders are effective. Managers are efficient, right? How effective are you at leading that team? Managing a team is, can you do this for me? I've got 10 things I want you to do. Or there's 10 things that I've got to do. Yeah, what happened though? Well, I don't know, but I did them. Not much happened, but I did them. Tick, 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 tick. Leaders move people. They implement change. They get people to buy into the vision, buy into the journey. They reduce division. They increase harmony. They grow people. They understand the power of growing people, mentoring people, and real effective leaders replace themselves in their business or their team so that it doesn't rely on them. And my latest book, Your Business Shouldn't Need You, Start to Replace Yourself in 180 Days, has come from 18 years of leading business owners in leadership dynamics. And the biggest problem I find when I come into a new business owner's life is everything's on them. If they step out of that business, it's going to collapse. And they may still have 20 staff, which means they're managing it and not leading it. And they haven't built leaders around them. They haven't surrounded themselves with leaders. And in certain parts of the business, you need leaders around you, not managers. And you need to understand what are the personality traits I need in a person so that they are a natural leader. We don't need everyone to be leaders. That's a very important point I'm sharing there about how to start growing a business that doesn't solely rely on you. And that's the same in a rugby league team as well.
Yeah. So many awesome points, Coxey. I love that. And you know, there's room for people that are there, but yeah, just really understand that it's not about ticking the boxes, guys. It's about the team. It's about the people. It's about moving forward. And it probably links in, like, you know, when people talk about culture, right? For your business, just in general, obviously we're talking about leadership, but we need a purpose in the business. We need a mission in the business, guys. We need values in the business to be able to, people know, okay, this is where we're going, right? This is the way we do it. Come follow me, right? And I'm going to take you there. That's really, you know, what the leader, either the owner or the people within the business do. And without that, you know, you're just a manager, really. You're not, you know, you can't effectively lead somebody in that same way.
Great leaders cast vision. Effective leaders cast vision and people buy into it. They own it. So if you want to be a leader of a business or a team, you've got to spend time getting people to want to be part of that journey. And President Roosevelt has a great saying: people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it's the care factor. If your people feel that you care for them, because that's what real leaders do. It's called servanthood leadership, serving others, helping others, caring for others. They go over that mountain with you.
Yeah, I love that. And I guess we've got some more challenges more recently, which are opportunities as well as challenges, but we're living more in a remote world, right? With not being able to travel as much and connect with people as much. But I see it as opportunities as well to connect with more people globally. But obviously having teams, whether or not, you know, it's you know, being more remote basically now, we're moving more to a remote world. And that brings, I guess, different challenges now with leadership, with not having just an office, you know, where everyone comes in and things like that. So how do you see that changing and the differences with leading people in that way?
Okay, firstly, I wrote a 9-step guide to leading remote teams effectively. And there's 12 pages, or if you want the whole lot, it's 45 pages. It's free. And I wrote it probably May, June last year when COVID hit. Because in my direct sales business, I've been leading remote teams remotely since 1994. As I said, every 3 months, and then every 6 months, and every once a year. And so I've used technology. Okay. But the key to leading remote teams is that people need to know what is expected of them. And then how do you inspect them? How do you measure them to keep them accountable? And what is the rhythm that, if you're living in Perth right now and you're in my organization, is it once a week I'm going to connect with you through Zoom? Is it once a fortnight? Is it once a month? Also, you need to have them more engaged by you presenting to me your thoughts on the business, not just me presenting to you. There's got to be a remote strategy built into business today, because leading people remotely is so different to leading them when they come into the office. It's a completely different animal. And there's 9 key steps in that remote guide that I wrote that will be of real value for your viewers, Athin, that they take the time to go through it and implement it into their own leadership to lead those people they lead remotely.
Love that. That's awesome. And yeah, definitely recommend everybody to go check that out and reach out to Leadership Dynamics there and check that out, because I'm sure it's becoming much more relevant now these days, right? And it really is going to help us to go to that level. And you've touched on it, Coxey, but I think it's good to sort of just go a little bit specific deeper on it now about how important like coaching and mentoring, right, in business is. And I guess more for you, how has that helped you in what you've achieved?
Okay, firstly, if I hadn't connected with Jim in April 1992, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be married today. He wouldn't have given me that book Personality Plus to read. He wouldn't have spent time with his wife, mentoring my wife and I through our marital issues. And then 2 years later, Dane was born. And 2 years after that, Jared was born. What I'm passing on to you, I've learned through my mentor or mentors. I'm a guy that grew up in the western suburbs of Campbelltown, got expelled from 2 high schools. Half my mates, ended up in jail. I was always going to be a leader. My parents moved me out of Campbelltown to Cronulla to get me out of that environment. No one was leading me. I was leading myself. I'd never heard of mentorship being led. But I was playing golf last week I live in the Gold Coast at the Grand Golf Course with a very successful entrepreneur. His name is Steve Esser. He owns an event company called GoCo Events. And he said to me that the only real successful people he knows in business have mentors and coaches. He said, you're not going to become successful any other way. And 10 years ago, he was a broke rock musician playing in Los Angeles. Grew up in Lidcombe. And then he started his first business. And the first thing that he did was get a business coach, get a mentor. And so he believed so much in that principle because he was leading himself nowhere. But here's the key point. It takes humility. It takes a willing heart to be led by someone independent because they speak the truth into your life. Sometimes they are brutally honest with you. So it's got to be someone that you can trust, that is more successful than you, that has wisdom and runs on the board. And that's where Leadership Dynamics was born. And I'm a lot more successful now in my life, both professionally and personally, than I was in 2003. So what gives me the right to lead you, for example? If you wanted me to lead you, is I'm led by a guy in Atlanta, Georgia. He's 1 year younger than me. Let's start there. Before then, I had a guy that was 12 years older than me, mentoring me for 22 years. So if I'm being led, that gives me now the authority and the influence to lead you. And I'll never have anyone give me advice unless they have an advisor themselves, because no one has all the answers. It doesn't matter who you are. And my passion is golf. And I get to play golf with billionaires. Some of these guys are billionaires. In Sydney at a golf club that I'm a member at Terry Hills, and also up here in the Grand. And they all have mentors, advisors. None of them don't. And I think that's the message to business owners. If you're a business owner right now and you're struggling in business, my first question to you is, who leads you? You've got to answer that question. And if it's you, how's that going for you?
Yeah.
But if you want to, it's about seeking wisdom. That's really what it is. And wisdom is more precious than gold, because if you got wisdom, you can make gold. Everybody wants the gold. Wisdom will give you a gold mine. It'll save you time and it'll save you money. That's really what being led is all about. And as that relationship grows and trust grows, the communication, the questions, the advice, the counsel gets better and better and better. And I mean, some of my clients have been with me 10 years. And they're much more successful than me in business financially. But when they started with me, they were broke. And some of their marriages were on the rocks. and they didn't know their kids. And they've nailed everything by this one process of monthly being led by someone they trust. My holistic picture of leadership is strong leadership thinking, balanced, happy home life, health and wellness. To be an effective leader, I believe you need to grow your thinking, you need to grow your family life, and you need to grow your health and wellness. If you're growing in all three of those areas, you're going to have maximum influence to impact the lives of the people you lead.
Yeah. Wow. So many amazing points there, Coxey. And I really love that. And I'm sure that's, influence everyone in a good way, that if they don't already have, coaches and mentors to help them, is to go seek one out, right? And, make that decision on yourself, right? See who has the results that you want, right? Who is further down the path than you, who you resonate with, right? Because there's a lot of people out there. Find the person, and sometimes you might need multiple people for different things, but find the key people to get you to where you want to be a lot quicker. Like Coxey said, it's an investment, right? Because that's going to help you down the line. Like if you didn't have your family life well and you have to divorce your wife, how much is that going to cost you instead of paying a little bit, to get somebody in to fix the marriage?
So true. And you've used the right word there. My clients in leadership dynamics don't see it as a cost. They see it as an investment in their life, their leadership, their business. They've got to be the best leader they can be for the people they lead, and the best, spouse and best brother and sister and whatever, best friend. They grow. When you grow people, you grow businesses, you grow teams, you grow organizations. And in relation to culture, good leadership, good culture, bad leadership, bad culture. You hear the word culture a lot? Culture is just leadership. That's it. Leadership behaviors. So when I go into a new business or a new team, within 1 hour, 60 minutes, I'll know whether I'm dealing with a good culture or a bad culture. It doesn't take very long for me to work that out, which means I've got a good leader or a bad leader, because leaders drive behaviors, which drives the culture, the environment.
Yeah, I love that. So everybody get onto that, making sure you're being led and making that happen so that you can really get the results a lot quicker and make that impact, right, that you want to do in this world. I think you touched on it before, Coxey, but let's go into a little bit more detail. You have a new online program, leadership program called Leading for Growth. So please tell everyone, I guess, why you created this and how you help people with it.
I've only got so much time in my business model because everyone wants me to lead and mentor them, okay? I want to reach more people. So I developed that program. It's taken 7 years to get to market. And it's substantial in financial investment, time investment, because I reshot those videos 4 times till I was happy with the content, the delivery, and also how to make it work as a product for people that could come onto an online program and grow their leadership one-on-one, being led and mentored by me. So it's designed for 30 minutes a week, and there's 12 video modules to lead for growth. So there is a 10-minute of me on the video with a lot going on, you and I together with me on the video. And then there's a personalized online workbooklet to grow your personal accountability to yourself as the business owner or leader of that team. And it's 30 minutes a week you've got to invest into this program. That's all it is. And I've got the next 6 videos. I'm going to do 60 videos in the next 3 or 4 years. I want to do 5 years of leading for growth, reaching more people. It's $297 for 12 videos. It also includes my live monthly global virtual event with my members that are now coming in, where I call that an hour of power with Coxey. You get both my ebooks. You get there is all my articles, leadership articles. You get put on a monthly what would you call it, program, where you get sent new leadership content that I write, which will be thought provoking for you. You get connected to the community. So that for $297, I really think it's a real value add. And what I would be prepared to do for your viewers, if they say they got this out of the Business Growth Show, I'll do a free personality profiling of them with them and a couple of their key people, just as a value add to help them understand the power of what we just shared a little bit before about personality profiling. And that's valued at $750. That is just alone.
Yeah, awesome. Sounds amazing, Coxey. I think I'm gonna have to get onto this very much myself. I've been thinking about it, so definitely sounds amazing. So yeah, so much value in there for a great price, right? And you know, really help you to get that impact and get all those extra things. And what an amazing thing for the show now as well today, guys, with the personality profile like that could just take, you know, yourself and your business to the next level, just that one extra thing there. So I definitely recommend everybody to jump on that and get involved. So
if they're prepared to do 30 minutes a week, by the time they get to module 3, they'll be leading for growth in all 3 areas that I touched on: thinking, family life, and health and fitness. They'll be challenged in all areas. And the landing page is leading number 4, leading for growth. Okay, so that's the landing page they go to.
Cool. So leading for growth, guys, and that's the number 4. So yep. Awesome. Love it, Coxey. So, you know, we met at your house many years ago through our networks, and you know, where I learned about your awesome journey as a leadership expert, and you know, it was awesome to hear your story on being, you know, leadership coach and consultant on the South City Rabbitohs rugby team, like you mentioned before, where they won the first NRL premiership after 43 years, guys. So it was a big feat, right? But what Coxey was a cog in that system to really help that make that happen. And you know, you lead those who need it most, right? Including, you know, professional athletes, elite sporting coaches who have the results on the line, as well as, you know, CEOs, small business. Everybody needs to be led. And, you know, you're a great guy, and, you know, I'm sure you'll continue to help lead the world in a much better way. So I'm very grateful that we've connected, and I look forward to work with you in the future as well.
Great. I appreciate the opportunity to share. Thanks, Athin.
Awesome. And yeah, thank you so much for your time today. So I'm sure so much gold has just come out in this thing, guys. So I definitely recommend everybody to listen back and also get involved with Leadership Dynamics. So how can people find you and get in contact with you?
Yeah, just go to my website, www.leadershipdynamics.com.au or www.leadingforgrowth.com.au, and they can connect through that.
Awesome. All right. So thank you, everyone, for watching and listening to this show where we talk about everything on business growth. You can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube as Athin Cassiotis, or visit my website, athincassiotis.com. I completely agree with you. Or do I? The only way I know is if you tune in next time. So until next time, remember that our business grows when we learn skills and take action using them in spite of fear. Have a great day.